All right, we have to talk a bit of money, don't we? We have to have a serious conversation, you and I. If you're drowning in debt, you're probably not alone, don't worry. But have you ever wondered what happens to that debt? Should you die before it's settled? What happens to your loved ones? Does it put them in an awkward position? Well, let's find out from financial experts. They say it could follow you to your grave. It's exactly why proper estate planning is critical. Let's now find out from Old Mutual Head of Financial Education, John Manyike, joining us. Hello to you, John. So I think this is something a lot of people don't think about, obviously, until it's too late. And when I say too late, and I mean people, it's the family left behind, isn't it? That's where the problem comes in.
No, absolutely. I think what people need to understand is when you die, your assets, your liabilities, and your income forms part of your deceased estate. Now, that deceased estate is vested in the Master of the High Court, who will appoint an executor whose chief function is to identify or locate your debts, that is your liabilities and your assets, collect and settle your creditors. And if there's anything left, then they can distribute to your loved ones. But then again, it depends on whether you died with a valid will or if you died intestate. If you died with a valid will, of course, then if there's anything left, it will be paid to your loved ones in accordance to your wishes. However, if you died without a will, then the law of interstate succession will then apply. But I think maybe let's focus on what happens to your debts. So there's a different treatment for secured debt versus unsecured debt. So your secured debt receive preference over unsecured debt because, for example, your home loan, the property itself serves as security for the repayment of the loan. So the bank is then entitled to, to sell the property, to repossess, sell the property in order to settle the debt. However, in the event of perhaps a spouse or surviving spouse to a deceased estate, especially when you're married in commuter property, your spouse does have an option of registering a bond over that property in their name, and then actually continue with monthly repayments, but then provided they qualify for a bond. And that is a discussion that needs to happen between yourself and the creditor. But unsecured lending, that's why it's called unsecured. That's a bit of a challenge because it's in more likelihood if there's not enough in the estate, if it's insolvent, your unsecured lending will not get anything.
Let me just pick up on that very quickly, John. On the unsecured lending, unsecured debt as well, who pays for that? Because the family has now lost a loved one, and now they're being sent bills and letters of demand for companies that want their money back. Is it as simple as that, or is it not just written off as part of a deceased estate?
No, not at all. If you're married in commuter of property, then you inherit that debt. You are responsible for the full, for all the debts in that estate. So you have to make sure that you settle that debt. Or if there's a surety, sometimes people do sign surety on behalf of other people, but they don't actually understand what it means that in the event that person dies, because you are the surety, you have to settle that. So the estate is entitled to recover that money from you in order to pay the creditors.
Sorry, John, forgive me, because I just want to move on to try and get some advice quickly for viewers. How do we stop that happening now? You work for Old Mutual, you're head of financial education. As briefly as you can, how do we stop this happening? What plans can I put into place now so my wife and my 5 cats don't inherit my bad debt?
So the best thing is to make sure that you make provision for your estate. That's why this is part of estate planning. So what you need to do is to make sure that you have at least a life cover that you either see to the bank or see to your deceased estate, so that the executor will have the latitude to use that money to liquidate the estate so that they settle your debts, so that your family doesn't inherit your debts because you didn't make plans for it. So that is the best way to do that. Make sure you have appropriate cover to cover any possible shortfall.
Well, now we know what to do. When we all get into the office later this morning, we're going to be Googling life policies, life plans, and estate planning as well. Really appreciate you taking time to speak to us. Old Mutual Head of Financial Education, John Manyike. Don't think it won't happen. The inevitable will happen.